dictate quite a bit of how teams are going to go. We saw the mid laners. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if either side does decide to pick that up. Because again, it's you do have to kind of have a composition that works around it, because
we talked about how important this Gragas is going to be. Seemed like Futbolist were able to get it despite being red side, which is very interesting to me.
I have to assume Queso first picked Aurelion Sol for themselves then.
Yes.
Which allows the Gragas to go over to the side of Futbolist. But the Jinx getting picked up here. This is a champion that I personally love to play Jinx, but I'm a little iffy on the competitive viability of her, because it is so easy to lock down the Jinx. She has no escape tools, but her early game is very, very weak, and she's also just, again, very susceptible to getting dove in a team fight. So we'll have to see how she's able to maneuver around these fights, because if you can stay alive long enough, you get excited, you can start just tearing and shredding through opponents. But you really need to get to that honestly, 3-item spike is where Jinx, if you get to the 3-item spike without getting kind of bullied and your team isn't falling super far behind, that's when Jinx can take over a game.
Jinx is a very kind of go all in or go home kind of champion. Is or you do just double tap the enemy team and just one shot everyone, or you do no damage and you bring nothing to the game. And I think that even though you did say her 3-item power spike is going to be big, I'm especially looking at this Camille as a response. If this Camille is able to get in a really good spot where she does so much damage, and especially the true damage is going to be big against Elpis, that Hectic Ultimatum later on is going to lock her down, and the lack of mobility and survivability makes it a very easy target to make down if she is picked away by Acolytes. So I'm looking out for that. As though lane swaps, pretty usual stuff. Not going to be responded and mirrored away this time around. No, that's not going to be the case. As Futbolist are going to keep Pigas and also Elpis in the bottom side. As though to the top lane, you're going to have Memorized and Ibu currently applying some pressure onto Caglian. But I'm going to see Pigas going back to base. So it seems like he is going to be trying to assist Caglian on that top side. And Lee Sin is just about to finish his initial jungle rotation. So we could be seeing a little bit of a early lane pressure happening in the top side of the map.
Yeah, well, both teams having 3 members up here. At least for now, we do see the recall coming through from Andres, as that's going to be now 3-on-2 if the members of Futbolist decide to make something happen here. And again, Corki, another one of those champions that he does have an escape with his dash, but he's going to have to use that early, but that's going to leave the Alistar having to flash out. And without an ultimate, Alistar is not very tanky. And an attempted roam from Ruiz as well, that's not going to pan out. So that's a big opportunity for Rekna to have some alone time in this lane too. So that works out extremely well for the side of Futbolist.
I mean, the best time really to ever take a fight versus an Alistar is when he doesn't have his level 5, when he doesn't have the Unbreakable Will. So he just can't survive and tank up that damage. Overall, really good pick coming out from Futbolist in the initial stage. I like seeing Team Futbolist getting a lot more confident, especially throughout the last few days. Before, they were a team that I don't know if this is the proper word to go for, but I'm going to go with it regardless. They were getting bullied and getting scared away very easily. And now I feel like they are slowly feeling a lot more confident, taking control. They're not scared to go for those early fights. That 3-man push in top lane to get the first blood onto Memorize, that is something that day one they would have never even thought of doing. But I think that now they are slowly getting used, especially to playing against each other, because let's not forget, this is a very new team when it comes down to the mobile MOBA scene. And they're just getting used to playing with each other and getting used to the overall experience and their synergy and their shot calling. So I think that Futbolist are slowly coming into it. And this is a team that I think the more they play together, hopefully they don't disband in like 2 weeks. Otherwise, what I'm saying now is just useless. But the point is, they could be looking really strong for them if they keep the synergy going. Though into the top side, that's going to be a wombo combo Cyclone into that Hectic Ultimatum. And I said it, Hectic Ultimatum against Jinx. There's not much they can really do. Flash on forward, and that's going to be 2 extra kills going away off Team Queso. But they do lose the Wukong. That's a kill going away off Pygas. And at the end, worth it for Team Queso.
Yeah, they get themselves a nice little trade there. Ruiz is able to roam down, does get an assist on it. At least Super Mega Death Rocket comes through, almost gets the kill onto Acolyte, but it was actually just not quite enough damage. Does stop the recalls, but that's not really going to be too consequential, as they do get them off in the end. But again, I like the attempt there, and especially early on as Jinx, just throw those rockets whenever. You don't want to just save it, because if you'll end up in a situation where you're saving that ultimate for like the perfect opportunity and it just never comes. So I like the idea of just throwing your ultimates whenever, like almost off cooldown, unless you're planning on having an engage happen very soon. just keep on firing that ultimate whenever it's available. That little bit of extra damage, you never know, it could help out a trade for yourself or your teammates. But if you don't want to just sit there and wait for an opportunity to use it that may never come.
Yeah, just use it and spam it when it's going to be available. I think that's definitely how you should be playing that champion. Though, into the top side, a little bit of a 1v1. Caglian going to be traded away, but Acolyte not fully ready to go for the engage. And also something very interesting that I did not know, I learned actually yesterday on another EU tournament. If you do use the repost during the animation of the Hectic Ultimatum, it actually cancels the entirety of Hectic Ultimatum, which I did not know that was a thing. So every day is the score day. I enjoy it. I'm learning every day. It's really enjoyable. But that is something that really a Fiora into a Camille, purely based off how these two ultimates are, with how those two abilities interact, it makes it very nice to play for, especially on the side of Caglian.
Yeah, I mean, the easy way around it is that is going to be a dragon secured by blue side, as Queso will pick up that one. But the easy way around that is you don't use Hextech Ultimatum on Fiora. That's just,
yes, true.
That is not going to be my target for this. And I think that you have a lot better options on the side of
Jinx, yeah.
Futbolist or the Fiora to be targeting. Jinx, Gragas is another potential option, just because you want to be able to lock him down, keep him from being able to displace everything and get out or engage in with the body slam, which is more likely. But Jinx, I feel like, is going to be the target, just because why would you not try and focus? It's going to be a primary source of damage for the team. And if you can just shut down the Jinx and keep her out of the fight, that is just so much potential damage that is just removed from your opponents.
There you go. They're going to be now taking a 1v2, though. They're going to go ahead and use the Hectic Ultimatum on top of the Fiora, making it really hard for her to take that fight 1v2. And that Andrew said was hidden in the bush for so damn long, and it makes it worthwhile for Team Queso once again. That is not only going to be a kill, that's extra 2 plates, even potentially the entire tower. I mean, I believe that Acolyte has enough time to do so. So a really good pickup once again for Team Queso, but in the last 2 games, this is actually very even between these 2 teams. I'm really enjoying how this has been played so far. As Futbolist, they're going to go towards the Herald, trying to go for the pickup. Rekna going to try and roam his way forward, but without the Wukong is going to join up a little bit late. So it's going to be very important to keep that in mind, though. He's going to be going for the engage. Memorized, nice lineup once again from Ruiz, though he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Rekna doing God's work in a 1v3 initially. And Caglian going to go for the dive onto Ruiz. That's going to be the Aurelion Soul out of commission, and they're going to continue on going. Alistar also finds a kill onto the Rakan, and now Team Queso on the back foot, having to move and jump away from that fight entirely. For Bliss, they win it, sure. They get himself the Herald also, I do believe, so that should be ready to pop in the next few minutes. But at the end, that was a fight that initially wasn't really well played by Team Queso, because they did have that heavy man disadvantage in the early stage.
Actually, Queso are the ones that came away with the Rift Herald.
Did it?
Because
Okay.
I didn't see if it was a headbutt that knocked him out, or if Swiest actually jumped out on his own just to try and stay safe. But he was knocked out of the Herald pit and was not able to get that smite secure. I'll actually keep an eye out as we are on a slight delay for competitive integrity. So I'll keep an eye out, see if I can spot. I believe it was actually a headbutt from Memorized that knocked him over the Rift Herald pit wall and kept him from being able to try and contest that smite.
But that's going to be big for Team Queso regardless. They're going to be able to use that properly, potentially also to try and make it easier for them to pick up the Ocean Drake that will be spawning in not too long of time. Caglian seemed like he's going to get forced upon, though he's got vision onto Acolyte, so he's going to try and potentially move away from that spot. Indeed, he's going to be respectful of that entire interaction. But now we're hitting the 7-minute and 40-second mark. Gold lead is nothing insane. It's hitting the 3,000 gold lead for the side of Team Queso, which is not insane at this length of a game, so it's still okay for Futbolist. They can still make the comeback happen, especially we are looking at Elpis. He's got already Blade of the Ruin King under his belt. He's got his first item, looking for more also. So he's slowly making his way towards that power spike you said earlier, which is going to be typically that 3rd item. And that's where Jinx is going to be looking really strong. But they get the tower thanks to the Herald. They're going to pop it down. Great 3-man knock-up into the Cyclone. And the Hectic Ultimatum onto Swiest. He just can't escape. But actually, no. That's going to be Camille jumped away thanks to the explosive cask of Rekna, able to save his jungle teammate. And now the fire's going to go potentially in favor. Oh, what is happening? Caglian for the ripost, avoiding any incoming damage for a second. Ruiz was altered away by the Fiora, but is going to be cleansed away. And now Memorized in a really bad spot. Sure, he's got the Unbreakable Wheel, but that's going to be a very dead Rakan in that engage. A lot of trade, back and forth, some kills going to in both sides. As for Futbolist, they're going to have especially Swiest able to close that one off, and that's going to be Ruiz out of the equation once more. Very, very nice fight between these two teams, but initially a little bit of an overstep, I would even say, from a Pigas feeling a little bit too confident initially.
Oh, and Acolyte actually jumps in, stops the recalls of both Caglian and Swiest as they were a little bit too worried about this engage from the Camille. And that means they're not going to have items. They're going to have to recall now, which is going to leave this dragon open. Caglian gets found by Acolyte again, and that's going to be a very dead Fiora. Numbers advantage now for the side of Queso as they are taking down this dragon. I don't think that members of Futbolist can even contest it. No, the dragon's already gone. They still walk in, but it's a Rakan and a Gragas. They can just body slam and dash out to safety. So very good job there by Acolyte, making the play by himself to go in and say, hey, if I can just stop some of these recalls, it gives us a massive advantage in this dragon fight, because even if he doesn't get that kill onto Fiora, you now have two members that have not been able to spend their money and are going to be a little bit behind in terms of itemization for that fight if it did break out. But he does actually get that kill as well, which just calls off the entire team fight completely.
A little bit of a feels bad man for Caglian in this one. Though one little thing I think was very important to mention, that explosive cask onto Acolyte made it that they could deny away that Hectic Ultimatum. It is a really good combo. Any kind of displacement into a Camille is really strong, and you want that in your composition to make sure that she cannot be impactful as she could be with that ability that does turn the tides pretty heavily. But it was just such a great engage initially too, I gotta say. Andres said engaging initially, get himself a 3-man knockup into the Cyclone, and then getting the Hectic Ultimatum onto Sweest made it super easy to deny the base mobility that Sweest would have in his kit. So I think that the execution of Team Queso is really strong, but Futbolist are still not giving up whatsoever, as now 2-item power spike has been hit for Elpis on this Jinx. So he's going to be starting to deal some pretty significant damage, and things could be looking really good for them. On the top side, No Vision going to be up there for Rekna, going to take quite a bit of damage from the combo of Andres said on his abilities. Golden Staff chunking down heavily, as both teams are going to be careful now. Though on the bottom side, that's going to be Camille taken down in a 1v2 by both Sweest and Caglian. This might be the opportunity for Futbolist to force a fight with a man advantage, but seemed like that they're more focused on making sure to clear the bottom side. So at the end, Team Queso are going to keep roaming free in the top side and are putting some serious damage on the players of Futbolist.
Yeah, the pick is great. It gives you a little bit of breathing room, as now, they find another pick, this time onto Andres, but they lose Gragas instead.
Oh, man, that Cyclone into the Pulverize is just such a nice combo, and Futbolist don't find a response instantly. I'm surprised the Celestial Expansion does not go through for Ruiz, but it's not really a matter. That was not the focus. They get 2 kills on both Sweest and Rekna. As long as they are dead, you know that there's no big fights to Futbolist should be able to win. And with a Baron available on the board, this is going to be looking amazing for the cheesy team of Team Queso.
Yeah, that was a disaster for Futbolist. They thought they had the pick onto the Wukong. They don't even get the Guardian Angel popped, as that is just a complete disaster. As now, like you mentioned, it's going to be Baron for the side of Queso. Memorized blocks the Super Death Rock. It would have been a little bit late regardless, but still is able to stand in the way. Body blocks it, so no opportunity for a steal there, as just a big advantage now for the side of Team Queso. They dropped game 1, but they are looking poised and ready to take games 2 and 3. They steamrolled over game number 2, and now here in game 3, it was very close for the first 10 minutes or so, but it has been all Queso the last couple.
Also, just been checking out the live stream chat, and some people have been saying apparently having a few issues on the platform. Just got to restart. There's no issues whatsoever in terms of a ping, and the frames are looking good. So if you're having an issue, just a little refresh should make matters easy. Hopefully that is going to be resolving the issue for all of you guys at home. It would be great. Little tip of the day. There you go. Refresh, turn it off, turn it back on. It works. Indeed, I do have to say. Now into the mid lane, Memorize, and Andres said, going to go for a little bit of a push. If they can get the tower, there'll be big Hectic Ultimatum straight on top of the Jinx. Their Explosive Cask is not going to be able to do too much. And into the hit. Oh, the CC combo is huge, and it's nothing Futbolist can make happen. All the tools hit. And that's going to be a triple kill gun away of Riz, and this is just going to be closing off the game. Team Queso, off of one fight, they're going to be taking game number 3 and taking a series as Fiora teleports towards the Baron, but no. Your base is going to be heavily taking a hit, and that is going to be indeed the entire series going away of Team Queso.
Caglian playing for the KDA there at the end, teleports out away from the base, knowing that if they had stayed and tried to go back, if they tried to walk to their fountain there at the end of the game. But my goodness, what a great team fight at the end there for the side of Queso, just getting absolutely everything that they want.